This story will save you from social media addiction. How? Watch the video to the end. You will see. Watch carefully. Hello and welcome to Next Level English. The Invisible Chains, Part 1, the first scroll. It was just one scroll. That's what I told myself. I was lying in bed, the light off, the room quiet except for the glow of my phone screen. I had work the next morning, a deadline, an important one, but there I was, thumb swiping up endlessly. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, back to Instagram. I wasn't looking for anything specific, just something, anything, to keep me from being alone with my thoughts. The world outside my screen didn't exist. Not my room, not the clock ticking past midnight, not even my body. I was just floating, consuming. A reel about a cat falling into a sink. A tweet about a celebrity cheating. A stranger dancing in slow motion, lit perfectly, lips syncing words they didn't write. I liked it. I shared it. I scrolled. And then I saw a post that said, "You've been scrolling for too long. Go to sleep." I laughed, but I didn't stop. I didn't know it then, but that moment, that one innocent scroll, was the start of something much darker. Something that would cost me time, peace, relationships, even reality. This isn't a story about technology. It's not about apps or algorithms. It's about how I forgot how to be human. And I know, I'm not the only one. It started small. Notifications used to give me dopamine hits. 1 like, 2 likes, a comment. "You're so funny." It felt like approval, like being seen. I'd refresh just to feel it again. But soon, the rush faded. I needed more. More likes, more replies, more attention. I started crafting myself. Curating moments, angles, filters, captions that weren't real. I stopped living for myself. I started living for the feed. Every morning, the first thing I touched wasn't water, it was my phone. Every night, the last thing I saw wasn't a dream, it was a screen. My meals got cold because I needed the perfect picture. My walks weren't peaceful. I was checking who viewed my story. My laughter faded, replaced by the anxious hunger for validation. One day, I met my friend Jacob for coffee. He said, "You haven't looked up once. Who are you talking to?" I said, "No one." "Just checking something." He leaned in. "You're always just checking something, but you're missing everything." I laughed. "Relax, it's just social media." He looked at me with something between sadness and anger. "It's not just anything anymore." But I didn't listen, because when you're drowning in something that makes you feel seen, it doesn't feel like drowning. It feels like flying, even if your wings are made of glass. Weeks passed. I started losing focus. I couldn't read more than a paragraph. My thoughts were scattered, my conversations short, my patience gone. I wasn't bored anymore, I was numb. The real world moved too slowly. It didn't flash, didn't jump cut, didn't entertain, so I escaped. Into the screen, into the scroll, into the silence. One night, I was alone, really alone. No likes, no messages, no notifications. I stared at my reflection in a black screen. And for the first time in years, I didn't recognize the person looking back. The Invisible Chains. Part 2. The Illusion of Connection. They say we're more connected than ever, but I've never felt so alone. I had hundreds of followers, thousands of likes, but no one I could truly call. No one who really knew me. No one I could sit with in silence without checking my phone. One day, I woke up to 23 notifications. My post hit 10,000 views overnight. People were commenting, sharing, messaging. "You're so inspiring. Bro, I wish I had your life. Fire, fire, fire. But the truth? That photo was fake. I wasn't smiling. I wasn't happy. I wasn't in Bali. It was a recycled image from a vacation I had taken years ago, edited to look like last week. I created a fantasy, and people believed it. Worse, I started to believe it too. That's the thing about social media. It lets you build a version of yourself, shinier, happier, filtered, but it steals something in return, your truth. I went out with some friends that weekend, or at least I thought they were friends. We sat at the table, everyone on their phones, no one speaking, no laughter, just blue light on tired faces. We took a group selfie, laughed for the photo, posted it, captioned it, best night ever, heart eyes fire. But it wasn't. It was empty, and yet the post got 512 likes in an hour. That night, I lay in bed and asked myself, when was the last time I had a real conversation without distractions? When was the last time I read a book without checking my phone every 5 minutes? When was the last time I felt alive, not just looked alive? I couldn't answer. Days blurred. Nights became silent. My phone became my mirror. If it didn't happen online, it didn't happen at all. Then one evening, I visited my parents. My mother asked, "How are you?" I replied, "Good," while checking my phone. She looked at me quietly, then said, "You used to smile more. When you were younger." I paused. It hit me like cold water. She wasn't talking about a week ago or a month ago. She was talking about before the phone, before the scroll, before the obsession. I looked up. She was still watching me, waiting, wishing I'd look back. But I didn't know how to. Not anymore. One night, I tried to delete the apps. I held my finger over the icon. It shook. A little X appeared, but I hesitated. I was scared of missing out, scared of disappearing, scared of being alone with myself. That's when I realized this wasn't just a habit. It was an addiction, and no one talks about it. I searched for answers online. Ironic, I know. But all I found were more distractions, more posts, more noise, no silence, no clarity, just content. I met a girl at the park. Her name was Elena. She didn't have Instagram. I asked, "Why not?" She smiled and said, "I prefer real memories over digital ones." I laughed, but deep down, I envied her. We talked, no phones, just two people, in the moment. She asked me things no one had asked in years. What scares you? What makes you feel alive? What do you want, really? And I didn't have answers. Because I'd spent so long performing, I forgot how to be. That night, I didn't scroll. I sat with myself, with the silence, with the discomfort. And for the first time in years, I started to feel something real. The Invisible Chains, Part 3, Trapped in a Loop. They say change is hard. They're wrong. Change is terrifying because it means giving up comfort, letting go of the mask, standing in front of the world and yourself, completely naked. After meeting Elena, something shifted in me. I saw a glimpse of life before the scroll, before I measured my worth in double taps, before I filtered every moment. But addiction is patient. It doesn't leave just because you want it to. It waits, it whispers, it pulls you back. I tried to take a break. 1 week without social media. Day 1 felt strange. I kept unlocking my phone out of habit, only to stare at a blank screen. My fingers twitched. My mind searched for that rush, the ping, the red dot, the endless scroll. I felt disconnected. But from what? The world? Or the illusion of it? By day 3, something beautiful happened. I noticed the sound of birds in the morning, the way sunlight touched the walls. I tasted my coffee, really tasted it for the first time in years. I felt present. But peace is a fragile thing, and the world doesn't like silence. I went back to work. My boss said, "You missed our team's Slack updates." I replied, "I'm on a detox." He frowned. "You're falling behind." I got nervous. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe disconnecting wasn't realistic. That night, I turned my phone back on, just for a second. 1 second turned into one scroll turned into an hour. The loop had me again. I saw people I knew posting fake lives, vacations on borrowed money, smiles hiding sadness, perfect angles, perfect filters, perfect lies. I saw influencers selling happiness in 15-second clips, telling me to hustle, to grind, to buy, to be better. Better than who? Myself? Or the illusion of everyone else? I felt small, incomplete, left behind. Everyone was moving. I was standing still. So I posted something, a selfie, carefully edited, caption, "Grateful for today." It was a lie, but it worked. Likes poured in, comments, "You look amazing. Teach me your mindset. Living the dream." And for a moment, I felt seen. But then I looked at myself in the mirror again. Dark circles, hollow eyes, a fake smile. I looked nothing like my post. Who was I trying to impress? The answer hurt everyone and no one. That night, I had a dream. I was in a room full of people, but no one had faces. Everyone stared at their phones. Their voices echoed with hashtags. Their hands swiped non-stop. I screamed, "Hello?" No one looked up, not even me. I woke up gasping. It was 3:14 a.m. My phone was in my hand. I had been scrolling in my sleep. I needed help, not from an app, from myself. I called Elena. She answered on the second ring. I said, "I think I'm losing myself." She replied softly, "No, you're finally starting to find yourself." That day, I did something radical. I turned off all notifications, deleted every app, put my phone in a drawer, and I went outside. No purpose, no camera, no post, just walked. I saw kids laughing without phones, a dog chasing butterflies, an old man feeding birds, and for a moment, I felt free. But the chains weren't fully broken. Not yet. The invisible chains. Part 4. The war within freedom doesn't come with a delete button. I thought uninstalling the apps would fix everything. It didn't, because the real addiction wasn't in the phone. It was in my mind. Even without notifications, I still felt it. The itch. I'd reach for my pocket even when my phone wasn't there. Like a ghost limb. I wasn't missing the device. I was missing the feeling, the instant validation, the illusion of connection, the rush of being seen. One evening, I sat in a cafe with Elena again. She was reading a book. I was staring out the window, watching people walk by. Every single one of them had a phone in hand. Some smiling at the screen, some frowning, some walking without looking up once. No one looked alive, just automated. I whispered, "Do you think we've all gone numb?" Elena looked up. "Number, I think we're overstimulated. So much noise, we forget what silence feels like." I nodded. She was right. A week passed, then 2. I began to notice strange things. Time felt slower, colors felt richer. My thoughts, once fragmented, began to settle. I had dreams again, not about likes or followers, but about running, flying, living. Then I saw him, Jason, my best friend from high school. I hadn't seen him in years. We sat at a bench and talked for hours. Real talk, no phones. He told me he had been struggling. Depression, loneliness, burnout. But your posts looked so happy, I said. He laughed bitterly. Yeah, that was the plan. It hit me again. Everyone is performing. Everyone is pretending. And we're clapping for each other's pain, dressed in digital glitter. That night, I opened my drawer, stared at my phone, and whispered, "You don't own me." I didn't turn it on. I just watched it, like a prisoner who finally sees the cage from the outside. But then came the real test. My company posted a team photo on LinkedIn. I wasn't in it. Why? Because I missed the group message. I wasn't online. Someone commented, "Where's Alex?" Another replied, "Maybe he quit social media." LOL. And for a second, I felt excluded, irrelevant, invisible. The chains tightened just for a moment, but I closed the app and walked outside. Elena met me at the park. She had a Polaroid camera. She snapped a photo of me under the sunset. I asked, "Why not just use your phone?" She smiled, "Because this moment deserves to be real, not scrolled." I held the photo in my hand. It was imperfect, a little blurry, but beautiful, and for the first time in years, so was I. The Invisible Chains, Part 5, A Life Reclaimed. Some people think rock bottom is when you lose everything, but I learned something else. Rock bottom is when you lose yourself. And that's exactly what I had done. Not all at once, but piece by piece, with every filter I used to hide, every moment I didn't live because I was too busy capturing it, every scroll that stole an hour from my life. But now, I was awake. Not fully healed, not perfect, just conscious, and that was the beginning of everything. One morning, I walked to a bookstore. Yes, a real one, with dust and creaky floors and silence. I picked up a journal, not to post, not to share, just to write thoughts, memories, dreams, the things I used to outsource to the internet. Later, I sat in a park and opened the blank page. I hesitated, then I wrote, "Today I lived." And it was enough. Days turned into weeks. I no longer needed the red dots or the followers. I stopped comparing, stopped pretending, stopped performing, and slowly, I started becoming someone I actually liked. People noticed. "You seem different," they said, "happier, calmer, brighter." I didn't post a video about it, didn't share a transformation story, because real growth doesn't always make noise. Sometimes it's quiet, sacred, yours alone. But make no mistake, social media didn't disappear. It still calls me, still tempts me, still tries to convince me that life is only real if others see it. But now, I know better. One evening, I returned to that rooftop where it all began. The city still buzzed. People still stared at glowing screens, but this time, I stood with Elna beside me, no phone in sight. We looked up, stars, real ones, not stars made of numbers and fame, just stars. And in that moment, I realized something. I hadn't lost the world. I had finally found it. Elena turned to me and whispered, "Do you still miss it? The likes, the posts, the chaos?" I paused, smiled, and said, "I miss who I was before I needed them." We stood in silence for a while, then we walked away from the noise, not to escape the world, but to finally, fully live in it. The end.